asked this question fairly often, and it's, what's the alternative comprehension book to the bond books? Many parents know about the bond books because, of course, the bond books have been around for so many years, several decades. I wouldn't be surprised if they were one of the pioneers of 11+ books. And that in itself can be a bit of a problem because children tend to start with the bond books, and then after a while they run out of good books to use to practice their English. There's a publisher that I really advocate using, and they are called Schofield and Sims, whether it's Schofield and Sims, I don't know. There's so many different ways to pronounce their name, I'm sure, but I will write it in the description somewhere here, so take a look out for that. Basically, Schofield and Sims, which is how I pronounce them, correct me if I'm wrong or don't, that have a series of comprehension books. Why do I like them and why do I recommend them? Is because with comprehension, I don't believe in giving children passages that they find super easy to do every single time. That doesn't stretch them. There has to be some thinking involved. I also believe that comprehension books should introduce different genres and types of writing that children wouldn't naturally pick up to read, you know, in their free time or even for the school reading book. And so this is why I really like the Schofield and Sim comprehension books, because they have a mix of poetry, they have letters, they have, you know, passages from classic books. There's a wide variety. So I'm going to show you, it's quite interesting because the day that I've decided to do this video, I can't find book one, but basically they look like this. Let's move that back a bit. And so I'd like to start with book 3, which I think is good for entry level year 5, advanced year 4s, and it helps the children to navigate through comprehension. So starting on page 4, you will see that it's literally a fairly sort of average length piece of comprehension. It's an autobiography of Jacqueline Wilson from the book The Story of Her Childhood, and that's the first piece that they do. It's a very digestible piece for children to read, even children who maybe don't enjoy English as much as they should yet. It's a good one, and generally has about you know, sort of 9 to 10 questions there. If I go on to the next one, that has 11 questions, so basically enough for them to spend like half an hour doing, which is probably about the right time. So what I like about this book is that there are marks as well, so hopefully you'll be able to see, you know, the marks, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 2 marks, and so on. And so it gives children the chance to learn about what they need to do when the marks are different. So if they're used to always giving a direct and a short answer, they'll learn that when there's more than 1 mark, even if the question doesn't say give 2 reasons, they start thinking in that way, which is really good. But what I do like about this book is that the questions aren't your general basic questions where children, you know, can zip through them in 5 minutes. Some of these questions they really have to think about. This book isn't heavy on grammar in the way that Bond is. Obviously the Bond books, if you're starting on the 9 to 10 books, for example, they have 50 questions. No, they don't. They have 100 questions in there, or 100 marks worth of questions. 50 questions in the Bond maths books. My apologies. So there is more scope to have lots of different grammar and punctuation questions. However, I really do like the way that Schofield and Sims puts this together, because it still chips in the odd grammar question in there as well. And also I like the style of questions in this book because the children are often asked questions like, why do you think the writer or the author or the poet why do you think they use a particular word? Why is something in italics? Why is it in bold? You know, these types of questions that don't always come up in the bond books or in the type of comprehension that children are doing at school. It gets them thinking. So I really do like this book and this series of books. So according to Schofield and Sims, this book is really good for Key Stage 2 comprehension. I think they're good for 11 plus prep as well, especially the independent school papers where they're not multiple choice. Children have to give a descriptive answer. I really do like them because it gets children thinking about the question, thinking about the passage that they've read, and it really encourages them to go back into the text and look for these answers because some of the passages are quite complicated. So it's very good, it really is. You've got poetry in there, The Woman of Water, and in that paper the children are asked to do a review, you know, so there is quite a mix. I think they've made really good use of the space, and as a guide I tend to give students half an hour to do this, just trying to see what the publishers are recommending. See, they don't always give you a time frame, but half an hour is probably a good time. So let's see, do I see anything in here? No, I think possibly in the teacher's guide. So that brings me on to the next thing, which is about the answers. And that's the one area that I think Schofield and Sims don't do so well in, where the other publications for Key Stage 2 and 11 plus prep do better. So besides the verbal and non-verbal reasoning books, which have the answers in the centre, the comprehension, the mental arithmetic books, and a lot of the other books, I remember buying the Springboard collection, and there are about 5 or 6 books in the collection, and there are no answers. And I contacted the publishers, the customer service, to find out if they have the answer books for them, and they don't even have answer books for that series. And I think that's one of the downfalls about this. Whoops, my other books are about to fall, sorry about that. It's one of the negatives about buying this. You have to buy the answer book separately, which is an additional cost, obviously. I mean, this book, the retail price is £2.95, or at least my version of the book is, and so it's very affordable, which is again one of the good things about Schofield and Sims. I think because of the way they print the books, it's just paper, it's nothing over the top in terms of the paper stock, and you know, these laminated glossy covers that cost more money to print. They keep it simple, and I think that's fine, and the price point is good, you know, it's very affordable. But then if you had to buy the teacher's guide and the answer book, and considering the number of papers that are in here, you would probably end up spending about the same or a bit more than you would with the bond books. So it's a bit chicken and egg, really, unless you're confident to mark this, and because they're short passages and just, you know, a handful of questions, parents who are confident in supporting their children in that way could get away with not buying the answer book. The plus side of buying the answer book is that literally there is one answer book for all the books in the series. So once you've invested in it, you don't have to buy another one for each one in this series, which is different from their mental arithmetic books, where you have to get the answer book for every book because it has a lot more papers in. So that's still not enough for me to think this isn't a good buy. It's a really good purchase. and I like the way that it challenges the children to think outside of the box, outside of the samey, easy peasy type of comprehension that they're probably used to doing at school. And it's a good bridge between the different bond books. You know, let's say if your child has finished the 9 to 10 books, but they find the 10 to 11 bond English books too difficult, you could use book 3 or book 4 as a bridging book, and it would work quite well. So thank you for watching the video. So if you haven't subscribed already, remember to subscribe so that you get a notification when I post a new video. Please remember to comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you use any other books that you think are better or comparable to these and the bond books, share your experience, and remember to share this to friends, relatives. You know, you never know who's trying to help their child but can't get the guidance, basically. So thank you for watching, and hope to see you on the next video.
I'll be